4 months in the Prime and on your own for the 9 months. Thank you so much. Welcome back. And let me take you all into a wonderful little bit of StarCraft 2 action here. And it is going to be, like I say, the World Team League matchup. First match of Week 5. Team Liquid versus the Shopify Rebellion, and a fun PvZ to start us off. Shopify Rebellion Scarlett sits in the bottom right corner of the map. Team Liquid's MaNa is in the red in the top left, and we will see which of these two teams will come out victorious today. We'll see which of them has what it takes to either rise up into maybe the top of the leaderboards, which would be Shopify Rebellion, or maybe for Team Liquid to just finally rise up out the bottom, looking for their first win of the season. So as I have been saying, Knight of Sidonia, thank you so much for the Prime sub as well. You guys will popping off to start of the stream. Thank you so much for the generosity. And let's see what happens on Curious Minds for map 1. Again, the way these maps are set up nowadays, players don't know what their first map's going to be when they're sent out. It used to be that they were like, oh, map 1 will be Curious Minds, so if you send your first players out, your first players you send out, they will start on Curious Minds. Nowadays, you just send your players out in any order, then you're told, okay, the first map for this matchup is Curious Minds. And that's a little bit of a funky one for PvZ. It's not one you'll always see make it into even a best of 3, right? So it's short, it's maybe a bit more aggressive. MaNa likely to be thinking something along the lines of Adepts or so here to make this work, perhaps. So definitely some possibilities. We'll see just what it's going to be from him very soon. As Scarlett would probably like this map to get aggressive on herself. A lot of options when it comes to moving across the map, getting up in the face of MaNa, just being aggressive. There's a lot of open space on this map, although it is short, so you have less time to prepare for those attacks and prepare for your own attacks. But those attacks do get open space to work with, and that means you can set up good surrounds as the Zerg. That's why Zergs sometimes don't mind playing on Curious when ZvT as well, a matchup which generally is very good on this map simply for the size of it. Rush distance is obviously pretty good in that regard, so yeah, let's see what ends up happening. Let's just move on through and get into this, like I said, first game of the series. It's again 2 maps between MaNa and Scarlett that are going to play, as we do have a Stargate already starting up, so nothing too wild immediately, so pretty standard initially as the couple lings in the drone are going to go after that probe, and that probe is going to get a pylon down. Nice little block to stop the third hatchery of the game from coming up too soon, so nice just to get that going. Nice little startup, like I say. And now I've got a couple lings in that drone just nibbling away on that and continue to make some progress. There is the pylon going down. The Adept is going to chase and get the drone kill, so the drone will fall. Now we continue to chase these Zerglings around a little bit, and now we're going back after that drone. Adept is having a great time here. MaNa really making it difficult to shut down, really making it difficult to get this base, shutting it down beautifully so far. Big delay on the natural location. And that is a pretty substantial deal, if I do say so myself. So, yeah, really cool way to start things off. And excited to see, well, what's next, right? What is the next step of this? Where do we go from here? On game number 1, Twilight Council from MaNa, so it is going to be at least some kind of a Twilight play. We'll see what exactly comes of this still in the very near future. Figure out what the plan becomes. Obviously, the setup from Scarlett finally getting a hatchery on that natural location. She gets an evolution chamber building as well, so we'll work toward that. The Oracle flies in for the first time, gets 3 drones, and it is just going to be straight to Blink, which is a lot of the times the expectation nowadays on this as well. So, yeah, straight to Blink, nothing really too wild about that. I think that's, like I say, somewhat what we're expecting to see here early on. And, yeah, I guess we're getting for kind of a fun little game so far, where MaNa's going to have some good damage done early, put himself into a good, strong position to begin with, I believe. And then from there on out, it really becomes a question now of can he actually do a lot with this Blink attack? Scarlett holding the melee upgrade, I mean, she's going to be focused mostly on the lings, which are great when they get that surround, but until they have that surround, they're not quite as hot. So that's also going to be a slight question mark here, perhaps. Let's do see another hatch just going down and all of that setup just continuing along for the moment. Forge is halfway done, the Blink still coming up. The Adepts here together just moving around to see if they can push stuff back if needed. Stalkers on the left-hand side, they are going to push things around just a little bit as well. And it's going to be seeing this Oracle back from the bottom side. Is again just making sure it's keeping track of everything that's going on. Giving MaNa a lot of information. He's very aware of what's going on generally in this series so far, in this first game. And he's actually going to bring the Stalkers across the map already. So for the Stalkers, that's a dead Overlord no matter what. And I mean, it's very early for these Stalkers to be moving across. They only just got their setup of, their setup going with the blink finishing. And these Lings, there's just not enough of them right now to actually make a commitment on this. So this is actually looking fantastic for MaNa. Gets rid of the 4th hatchery. That's a cancel, and that's just, again, brilliant way to start this off. You couldn't really be asking for a much better start than this so far. And again, you can just see these Lings are not enough, and a lot of this is just to gain the early damage done. Especially if you're playing a Ling-heavy style, that hatchery that doesn't go up on the natural denies lava for a while, and then you're kind of lava-starved in a very lava-intensive composition. And I'm sure that has something of an impact in this as well. So, yeah, really, MaNa just looking fantastic here in game number 1, looking to send Team Liquid off and away to the races in this series. Again, they really need it. 0-4 in the league so far. They were a playoff team last season. They looked great while being a playoff team. The team just got better with the introduction of a laser. He's not eligible to play yet, I believe, still. He needs to wait 1 more week, if I'm not mistaken. But geez, it would be crazy if they were just out of the playoff contention halfway through the season already, and they were just fighting to basically avoid elimination and relegation and avoid playing the qualifiers for the next season. Okay, guys, just to be clear, Shopify Rebellion is Scarlett's team, and MaNa is Liquid's team. Liquid is MaNa's team, and that is the first games of today, just as a couple people are asking. And again, Clem versus Bjorn, and also Kelazur versus Lambo a bit further down the line as well. So hopefully you guys are looking forward to all of that as this Oracle flies in. Queens are immediately there. Bye-bye. Oracle gets shoved on out of there pretty much instantly, so Oracle not finding much luck at all. And well, now what? I mean, MaNa obviously had a great start. It's allowed him to get up into his next stage of the game without too many issues. However, and I say this just to be cautious, Scarlett is finally getting rolling. She's getting her Bane nest up, her drone count's just got to be good. Just intrigued as to what MaNa does exactly to maybe capitalize before Scarlett is maybe fully set, because she doesn't have Baneling speed yet, right? So she's more or less where she wants to be for the majority of this game, but like I say, just not quite fully finished for the moment, so just wonder if MaNa can hit any sort of a time, but I don't think so. I think he's just happy to go into his robo units and say, once I've got those up, life's going to be a lot easier for me. I'm just going to be much better set up in general, and then we can go from there. Two Adepts, so Adept and a Zealot actually holding the watch time. So the Oracle's showing up. We will kill off a few more Lings. Again, +2 melee about to finish. That means these Banes are going to be extremely scary when it comes to the counter-attacks and the run-bys. When they can hit the mineral line with +2 melee, they will one-shot probes. So MaNa's going to have to be extremely cautious about that. That's one thing that this game can have involved in it that will basically ruin your day as MaNa, because you can go from having a very healthy economy to no economy from just really a handful of Banelings. So you need to be really careful to not let any access into your mineral lines be too easily had. Because again, the Baneling speed isn't done, so you can't imagine Scarlett really wants to fight here. If she feels like it's the only fight she can take, or if she feels like she can go, I guess we will. But Bane speed a few seconds off means that MaNa, to me, wasn't really super scared here. And obviously now Scarlett does have Bane speed. The Oracles are going to recall home as well. I wonder if they want to just go and revelate that army, keep track of it, know where they're fighting. Just know where Scarlett might be rotating to and what she might be trying to make the most of as well, right? I think is very important, just being on top of where her army is going to be and make sure you have the best possible defense ready. MaNa's going to go into Storm, which is a great spell to have against this army. You know, everything here melts a Storm. I'm just surprised MaNa seemingly has so little. He has like a Disruptor, 2 Colossi. It just feels like he's got so little compared to what he maybe should have at this stage of a game, and well, here he goes. Scarlett's going to jump on this army. Let's see if it's going to be enough from her Super Battery trying to save the second Colossus. The Banelings will start a crash on through. I believe that's the Super Battery unpowered now. No, actually, it's still got a power on the right side. Just couldn't see it very clearly there. Colossus is delivering the extended thermal lance finish, and that was big to keep this Colossus back. 20 probes do go down. So 20 probes falling obviously means this is a pretty expensive defense from MaNa. And Scarlett just sets up to go again. Now, MaNa's trying to get to Storm, but like I said before, getting to Storm is brilliant. I think it's great in this situation, but it feels like he didn't have, like, a lot then. And if he has to just rebuild, like, 3 or 4 Templar now, and he doesn't have a lot for this next attack when it starts, that could also still just be very bad for MaNa. Like, he could still end up here just in what I would honestly say is potentially a lot of trouble. I guess we'll find out next few moments as he gets himself ready to defend round 2. Storms are ready, as long as he's got the energy on those High Templars. Observer shows the fight. Oh my goodness. Okay, Bane's coming in from every angle. Okay, the Banes are just going to crash in, and MaNa doesn't know where to go. Well, he knows where to go. He's going to go backwards, but he lost the High Templar very quickly there. And that's a little bit of a rough start, to say the least. Now you don't have as many Storms as you might like. Now you see this base going down. And Scarlett's just very content with that. MaNa's Colossi delivered a lot of damage in that fight, but he really needed better Storms to start with. And the problem is you can't be storming the Banes when they're already on top of you, because that's just too late already. The Banelands need to be stormed when they're further away, so that then an extra bit of damage can be done to them, or you can hit a second Storm to really kill them off. Yeah, this was not an ideal situation, and I say to kill them off because usually if Banes run through a Storm, they only take 2 ticks of it, so they don't die. They survive, low HP, so you need a second Storm in front or behind the first Storm, and then they run through basically 2 Storms, and it basically means it ticks a 3rd time and gets the Baneling kill. So, yeah, man, it was such a good start for MaNa, but I just don't understand. It just felt like he was so weak when Scarlett first pushed, and I'm not sure why. I mean, it just felt like it took so long to get the Colossus online, the splash damage online, despite him doing so much to slow Scarlett down at first. Here you go. I mean, one more fight. I mean, 3 Colossi. These Colossi need to start hitting some of those low HP Banes, right? You need to be getting rid of those, like I say, with this extra Storm or so. 12 probes going down already. Storm after Storm drop. We just have no way to save these Colossi either, and Scarlett is just going to come through for the victory, it would seem. I just don't think there's any stopping it right now. It just looks to be way too much. And, yeah, like, I'll say it again. I think it's kind of a sad game for MaNa because I really felt like he was in a pretty good position. I really felt like the early stages of this game were great for him. I'd really like to kind of go back and look at this game a little bit and figure out, hey, where did this go wrong? At what point was this a mistake for MaNa? Because, again, it just felt like out of nowhere, Scarlett, boom, had so many drones, then a units on the map, and MaNa just had 1 Disruptor, 1 Colossus, and just never really felt stable from there on out. So, yeah, kind of a crazy one. GG's, and that is going to be a 1-0 lead for the Shopify Rebellion. Number 2, whoop. They were in game for a second. Okay. We're no longer in game. We're definitely in game for a second. Oh. Try this again. All right. Game number 2, and in the bottom left-hand side, Team Liquid's MaNa will be looking to tie things up here on Glittering Ashes. While on the other side of the map, it is going to be the Blue Zerg from the Shopify Rebellion, Scarlett. I wonder if it was just the size of the map. Scarlett can get across so quickly, and so MaNa just doesn't have the splash damage prep that he would like to have. Like I say, it was just a first game that for the first 5 minutes was like MaNa this and MaNa that, and then Scarlett just attacked, and won the game. What's up, Smib7? Thank you so much for the 14-month resub. Welcome back. Thank you so much. So, yeah, the Shopify Rebellion go off to a 1-0 start. Scary stuff, I mean, for Liquid, because every map is going to matter in this series. It's one of those ones where I wouldn't say any of the matches are necessarily a guarantee. I would favor, I think, Scarlett over MaNa as of late. I would favor Lambo over Kelazur as of late. But not so much so that it's, like, guaranteed 2-0s. And obviously, Beyond Clem is going to be a bit of a tough one. That's the one I think really can change everything. It just feels like for Liquid, picking up every map they can is obviously going to help, because it just gives them leeway further down the line, and just maybe gives them a chance to actually pick up their first win of the season today. Already, Skull again, that 1-0 start is just setting the tone that maybe the Rebellion are just going to run away with this one as well, and that Liquid are going to... I mean, can you imagine Liquid 0-5? It just hasn't clicked for them this season, you know, and I wouldn't even say they've played badly. I feel like they've played good games. I feel like their players have been in good shape. I feel like Kelazur's been playing great. I feel like MaNa's been strong lately. So yeah. would be genuinely shocked if they got to 05 and then continued that trend. It's really already an uphill battle. It almost feels like, I was talking about this last week, but it felt like Liquid were already in like a must-win situation in most of their matches, and that's obviously going to be no different this week. Must win to try and at least have playoff hopes. Otherwise, your season starts to become about not finishing bottom 2, not getting relegated, and not having to play the qualifiers to get back into the league next season, because those qualifiers are brutal, and there is absolutely no guarantee that you'll make it back through the qualifiers, even if you're a strong team, simply because of the fact that it is just brutal. There's a lot of strong teams, a lot of dangerous players, and the format really allows one player just to pop off a little bit in the qualifiers as well. So, yeah, very intrigued actually for when we get around to those qualifiers again for next season, but of course that's a long way off for now. Should just be, yeah, something that Liquid hopefully don't have to deal with. They're not a team you expect to have to deal with it. And of course, further down the line, you expect them to come out ahead of Platinum Heroes, SSLT. You know, they should be able to pick up a win off another team this season as well. It'd be crazy if they didn't. So yeah, it's not like they're really like in fear of that. It's just that's what their season could become about if they don't start picking up wins today, because playoff hopes really are just going to be out of reach and completely gone. Second gate on the natural expansion to start off with, so it's going to be getting that down, as the Stalker will have high ground vision to get rid of this Overlord, push that back of course already, and just going to start progressing with that right away. So pushing this Overlord back, it will go down, and Overlord falling. I'm just going to be seeing the Phoenix is on the way out now here from MaNa, so very different start, and actually going to go multiple Phoenix as well, and I assume from a good few Phoenix. Where are we going to take it from there? Good question, really. Looks like a second Stargate, so we're going to go just super heavy on the Stargate setup. I mean, there's Glitter and Ashes. When you pick Glitter, and I suppose one of the main kind of things you kind of infer from that is that, hey, look, I'm playing a large map. I probably want to build a lot of Stargates and get, you know, up to carriers as soon as I can. You know, make it as difficult as possible for you to kill me on my way there. And that does seem to be how MaNa is somewhat setting up for. Don't get me wrong, it's not a guarantee per se. Could just double Stargate Phoenix and then from there maybe switch into a ground force if the Phoenix do enough that he believes he's ahead. But I believe that is kind of the initial major plan of this, so I'd be imagining we somewhat stick to that. 2 more depths finish warping in. They're going to start shading out into the middle of the map. Away they go. Right through the center here, and it's going to drop a Revelation, clean up some creep spread, and see if we can get some early game damage done. Again, hiding the Phoenix as long as possible. Wants to reveal those as late as he can so that they are very much so surprised. They can just come across the map and go slaying, getting rid of Overlords, Queens, anything in position that's, you know, not really being prepared to deal with the Phoenix. That's generally the power of those Phoenix. That first wave really does a lot of the damage. It sets the tone and puts the Zerg on the back foot. So they're desperately trying to get back in the game. And you just kind of take the control of the game a little bit from there. Here are these first Phoenix with the Queens, positioned very well to begin with. We're going to find Overlords unable to die because the transfusions were good, and so far MaNa does not find anything on his way in initially. That is very unfortunate. That's, yeah, not ideal at all. We do have a counterattack as well moving through. One thing with Phoenix is that they're not great at dealing with those counterattacks right away. As one Phoenix goes down, it's Roaches on the counterattack as well, by the way, with Lings as well. It's actually pretty cool combo support. Means that the Oracle alone doesn't really deal with this. We are going to recall the Phoenix, which can shut down Roaches. You know, he just takes up a lot of lives, and this is the whole point of these Roaches at this stage. You usually build them to make sure you're safe against other things, but now that you know it's Phoenix, you just send them across the map. Because what do you gain from that? Well, all these Phoenix have to come home. They have to use a lot of their energy to save this base, and that just means the Phoenix are no longer a threat on the map. You no longer have to deal with them being aggressive, and in this case, for Scarlett, it works out beautifully to kill off the third base, put Scarlett into a stellar position here in game number 2. This is already a fantastic start. And like I said, it's almost textbook. Like, it's what you expect when you go into this double Stargate Phoenix, because the opponent will probably have some kind of Roaches or some kind of defense because they didn't have info as to what exactly this was going to be. So, you know, then they may as well use them to counter it. In this case, they got across the map. MaNa didn't see them coming, and so MaNa was not prepped. And now on 2 bases, this becomes an almost impossible... just an almost impossible affair, no? I mean, I just do not see... I do not see what can do from here. These Lings come in, they are gonna get rid of a couple units at the front. I mean, you are just on 2 bases. Scarlett's on 82 drones, pumping out units. I mean, she's just going to start attacking like she did in the last game very shortly, and it's going to look very similar, where MaNa's just not going to have the setup to deal with this. Enough Hydras basically says goodbye to this Phoenix count ever being very useful, and Scarlett's doing nothing but building Hydras, because she knows with enough Hydras she wins this game. She knows she's got this game more or less in her hands. She knows it's in her control. Yeah, Lings may not be able to get a cancel on this base as it comes up over here, but... yeah, doesn't even really need the cancel on this base. Yes, obviously a cancel is nice. The lane of base is always good, but like I've been saying, Scarlett's already far enough ahead. She doesn't need those things to be extremely competitive here in the slightest. And this is really tough, because again, if the Shopify Rebellion start with the 2-0, what that means is that somewhere along the way, Liquid have to find a 2-0 themselves, and I guess their best chance for that probably becomes Beyond versus Clam. Just because, obviously, even though you look at Lambo versus Kalazur, A, I'd say Lambo's maybe the favorite there, even if Kalazur's been playing great lately. But B, even if Kalazur wins the first map, then it's Lambo's map pick for map number 2. So in the TVT, at least the map pick for map 2 is not going to be, like, biased toward one player. So if Clem wins map 1, he's maybe not on a bad map for map 2. This puts a lot of pressure on the further players, and maybe especially on that Clem Beyond TVT, because, yeah, without that going well, truly could turn into quite the disaster. Here comes the eye. Scarlett's maxed out. 4th base coming down from MaNa at the front. Scarlett will just sit here and fight this. Well, this is kind of a choke. This is not really where you want to be fighting. Corrosive Bars hit some Archons in the back. Phoenix lifting as many of the Hydras as they can. The Zealots are gone, though, so these Archons are next on the attack list. And they will start to fall. Scarlett just rebuilding, maxing out on Hydras again. And now all of these Phoenix are out of energy. They've used all of their energy to try and deal with the first wave of this, so they're not going to be as useful for wave number 2. And Scarlett is more or less doubling the supply of mana and ready to push in. And yeah, these units may be going a little bit too soon, but if you just force some Phoenix lifts, again, it means there's less Phoenix lifts for the Hydra reinforcements, and then you can actually kill off those Phoenix with the next wave. And that generally is going to be a pretty huge goal in all of this. Archon's kill, getting chased down. The Hydras for now is going to back it up. Skull maybe realizing I need to kind of go with everything together. And I would imagine that becomes the plan. Even got Vipers, so even just a couple parasitic bombs on the Phoenix can deliver a lot of splash damage very quickly, really force MaNa to split those Phoenix, take good care of them, and then they just can't sit around kind of mass lifting and, you know, dealing damage themselves as well. So even if you think the Phoenix might become more of an issue, don't really think that's the case. There's the first parasitic bomb. Yeah, good split from MaNa initially, right? So he does what he needs to minimize damage there at first, but it's still a Phoenix that goes down. That Phoenix count took a few losses in that fight. And now they're out of position, honestly, really not with enough energy. And again, I just got to say that this attack across the map from Scarlett looks very likely to probably just come in and very potentially end this game. There's nothing to defend this 3rd base, and we've kind of been alluding to it for a while, but Scarlett will pick up 2-0 here and start off strong for the Shopify Rebellion in this best of 7 matchup with Clem versus Björn up next.